Yeah, coach. So taking that two-way type player you have, a lot of us high school coaches how have those two-way players. How do you guys balance that with your throwers, and what kind of types of drills do you guys do throughout this regular season to kind of keep those guys in a routine? I know you said you guys play on Tuesdays and Fridays, so that you got a short window there between a Tuesday game and a Friday game. But what kind of things do you guys go through at Kennewick to keep your guys rolling?
Yeah, we throw a lot. So our guys throw a lot, but that communication with your two-way guys and how they're feeling and whatnot. There might be a day where your shortstop's dragging and his arm's sore, but he's got a bucket. He ain't throwing balls across the diamond that day. He's dropping them in the bucket at a spot. So, um, we do some plyo balls. Our kids recover every day, so we have a recovery program that every kid goes through recovery of their arm. So we throw a lot and we recover our arms and condition them. So we kind of equate it to like I tell our kids we're kind of like cross country runners or marathon runners. They run. That's what they do. And we're throwers. We throw and we need that rest too. And we're pretty cautious early on. Keeping pitch counts down and monitoring that and kids. That communication between us and Coach Milbauer and the player, or the pitchers, and our infield coaches, players, and like how you feeling today. And it's just I'm sure you guys do the same thing. Ask guys always how you feeling, how you feeling, how you feeling. And every guy's different. I'm a little sore today, or I'm a little tight here, or I'm a little this or that. So you may shut guys down some days, and you're not throwing or whatever. So, yeah.
Do you keep that same routine from your varsity level all the way down to your freshman teams?
Yeah, we do. Um, we've got a ton of we took some things from Texas Baseball Ranch and Ron Wolfert and driveline stuff, and we kind of made it our own. And so our kids learned that at a young age of like that arm care stuff. And so we do a ton of arm care with them and arm conditioning with them. So and our strength program is excellent. So our kids, we try to just instill in them that strength and flexibility is key. You want to prevent injuries, be strong, be flexible. It's not that sure you're still going to come up with some freak injuries, but strength and flexibility is going to eliminate some of those nagging ones that you tend to get as the season goes on. So yeah.
When are you mixing that stuff in for your two-way guys? When is it their time throughout the practice to go do their recovery and their work?
So they recover after practice. Okay. So and if it's game day, sometimes they don't do it that day. They may do it the next day. They may do the recovery the next day. Our pitchers, if you throw that day in a game, you recover that night. You may be there an extra 20 minutes after the game to a half hour doing your recoveries. So, yeah, if you pitch, you're recovering. It's bottom line. Like there's no, hey, I got to go. My girlfriend's out in the parking lot waiting for me. It's like, but you're gonna wait another half hour, and sometimes a lot of times we're cleaning the field up, so it's perfect time for those guys. Takes us a half hour to get things cleaned up. So the pitchers are over there that threw that day and they're recovering during that time. So, yeah.
Well, and I know we talked about it a little bit off the air, and I know it can be a very hard subject, sensitive subject for coaches in Washington State, and just how what we're allowed to actually do with our players, and especially in the northern states, how it's hard, makes our job harder. At least for coaches that want to take care of their kids, right, and take care of their arms and make sure they, you guys have guys that their career is going to go well beyond the high school level, right? So, with this shortened season, weather in the Pacific Northwest, how is it that you guys balance that arm care throughout the season, especially early on? As we are given 10 days and then expected to fit 20 games within a month or so.
Yeah. You got to develop arms, and I say that, and I want to stress that to coaches. But develop as many arms as you can early, like freshman guys. Teach them to pitch, get as many as you can, but because I think you go through a varsity year, you need 5-6 dudes, that you can roll out, and you can't rely on the old days where just two guys went out and threw every other game, and it's not that way. So with pitch counts and all that, and and just arm health. And the more we've learned about it, you know, and you know, the last 10 years, the more that's come out about it, it's important that we monitor that. We have good communication. So we start stuff early. You know, the arm care stuff. The kids know what they're doing. So we might put something out there on our our social media site and just say, hey, start your arm care stuff. And you know, and so the younger guys have to wait till like open gym to see what the older guys are doing. You know, because like you say, this dead period that we have in our state, we can't start until, you know, like I said, we get 10 days of practice and then we got to roll. It takes some time to get that arm healthy, and so you might have to. Some guys don't start it, so you might have to slow roll guys and really watch pitch counts early. And you know, we do a lot of our guys play summer ball for us, so we have a summer program. They play for us, and so we really monitor. We don't want guys throwing over 100 innings. You know, we try to really, really monitor that and keep their innings down for the year. You know, and don't abuse that arm too much. You know, so that's kind of where we're at with that.
Yeah, that having a big coaching staff, I found that out the hard way, unfortunately, against Jason one time, and it was our shortened 2021 season, and they were spanking us pretty bad. And I finally turned around and go, "Has anybody pitched before? Because we're not going to throw a pitcher yet. Now we got to wait till game 2." And it turned into like, man, we need to develop some more guys because it just makes things so much easier, especially late in the year and injury comes down, or early in the year when pitch counts get up there faster than you want with maybe a walk in the air that's unexpected, and just developing more and more guys.
Yeah, coach, what kind of conversation is that? You know, you get a player that comes up and says, "Hey, coach, I want to pitch for you." Is it kind of one of those things like, you know, let's see you throw the ball a little bit here in your position, or you know, let's put him right back up on the mound. Let's get some throws and see what he's got.
Yeah, you know, it starts, you know, the freshman year usually, that development, and so it might start with just, you know, playing catch, watching arm action. You know, has he got a three? Is he a different arm angle? Is it the guy we can work with? Is he different than other people? You know, I like that too. So does he have that different arm angle? Would that be something we can work with? And then, you know, our pitching coach is excellent, and I think two of you guys played with him, Coach
Bill
Bill.
B,
Yeah, and so he does a good job. And so, you know, we virtually start with mechanics with these kids. You know, just teaching them first level mechanics with them, and you're going through it. We don't just, you know, hey, I can pitch, throw them out on the mound, because that's just a recipe for failure. You know, so we slow roll them, and you know, you might find 2 extra guys. You know, we don't have the luxury, the college luxury that Kelly has, and be able to go out and find guys and you know, that have it somewhat polished, and so we got to kind of develop. And you know, a lot of times in high school, it's not, you know, every once in a while you might find that dude that, holy cow, got a 90 arm, you know, but very rarely. You know, it's not, you're not going to just go develop a kid in 3 years but we got a guy that can go out and throw strikes. He can be lower 80s and throw 2 pitches over the plate. It's like, there you go. You know, so the more we can develop guys like that, and then you've got your frontline guys that are upper 80 guys that can go out there and, you know, compete with 3 pitches over the plate. So,
yeah, I wish it was that simple at the college level. I think at any level of baseball, you always want more pitching. You know, you can never truly have enough. And yeah, I think that, I mean, even us at times, you see it at the college level, the guys that are able to two-way is rare. But also the you know, you get the project guys that you have, that lightning catcher that has the good time with the good arm swing, that, you know, let's try this guy out. Let's give him some instruction. Let's give him something different, that, you know, maybe he was out of school that had, you know, a plethora of pitches and I never really needed to use them. You know, so I think it's important at any position to try to maximize what you have from a talent standpoint, and to try to put them in different positions to help your team as a whole. You know, and you guys at the high school level, you know, sometimes you'll have 2 or 3 really good shortstops, or 2 or 3 really good catchers, and, you know, in a shortened season, you got to find somewhere else for those guys to play. Um, So it's important to be able to kind of identify those tools and those talents and some of those things and make it work. But no, we'll talk at the pitching side a little bit. I know your experience, your background, your success there, but um, what are kind of some qualities that you've identified in pitchers that have been successful in your time there, and maybe what are the tools, what are the things that you find helping guys the most with? I know you mentioned Coach Milbauer working with them, but I'm sure
Yeah.
that you're in his ear and you guys are working together on those things at times. But what are those traits and maybe some of those qualities that you're looking to bring out amongst your pitchers?
Yeah. So big deal, and everybody wants velocity, right? And we've had guys that throw hard but can't hit the backstop, and they're 91 arms, they can't. But we want to be able to command the strike zone, have command of the strike zone, and same thing on the pitching side. We want to win those early 0-0 counts, the 1-1 counts. We want to win those counts, go out and attack. We talked about the aggressor is going to win. The guy that's more aggressive is going to win. And tell them, watch any sport, watch MMA, watch anything. Like the aggressor usually wins. It's not very often it does. So we really stress that, and then being a dude. As much as that's kind of a saying in baseball, but act like it. Step on the mound and be a dude. Have your shoulders high, have your head. That presence is everything, and not afraid of the moment, not afraid to barrel, not afraid to attack, not afraid to throw inside. You're not afraid to throw that second pitch over the plate. Develop that second pitch to command the strike zone with it also. And then once you get there, then maybe we can get into a third pitch. You got a feel for a changeup. Are you a slider guy? Are you a curveball guy? Do you throw the sweeper? What do you do good? And then we're going to work off of that and help you, get hitters out, because ultimately it's, we talk to our pitchers all the time, hitters, you get to listen to us talk to our hitters, and we're always be on time, be on time, be on time. Pitchers disrupt it, and so we talk a lot about that, how you disrupt timing, can you throw your fastball 2 speeds? Are you able to do that? Can you move that fastball around? Can you, so a lot of that stuff is, we work on that short stuff and, flat ground work, so not a high school ball. Once that season starts, you're not throwing a ton of bullpens anymore. It's more flat ground time, more feel stuff, grip catch, that sort of stuff. So it's, you're developing a lot of that stuff on the run, Coach. It's a great question, but in high school, we don't get that early season time with them. So we're developing a lot of that stuff on the run, and, kind of teaching them how to do that on their own at the same time. So,
Yeah, the demeanor stuff that you talk about. I mean, just the presence and some of those other things, which is probably a bulk of a lot of your experience, being the dude in the past. And, these guys are playing a lot of games in summer, going different places, and they've been beat up here and there. And there's guys with really great stuff that haven't realized it, that they have really great stuff, right? So,
yeah.
I know you can't work on a lot of the throwing side of things, but I mean, how great is it when something clicks with a guy where it's upstairs and he didn't know it, and you free him up and you find that block, and you kind of were able to release him to be able to be, that dude that's able to attack. That's and I guess you guys get first crack at it too. That the jumps that guys make in high school baseball between freshman, sophomore, junior, and occasionally junior, senior are huge, right? So they go into their summer years and they're similar to what they were in their high school year. Then they take the winter off and they might be doing some arm care and some throwing programs and those things, or weight room, but they mature over that period, right? So you get that first inside look at them that, that guy might have been 80, 82 last year, and all of a sudden he's 85, 87, and he didn't do anything besides grow up a little bit and get a weight. So that has to be the exciting thing, to be able to see those guys, that first crack of that year over year, for those guys to see those jumps.
It really is. It's, and the other coaches here can attest to that. But these kids, and I think the biggest jump for them is that freshman, sophomore, junior, when they find that weight room. Because this game it's a bigger, faster, stronger game than it's ever been. and every kid thinks that I can go to, Coach Milbaugh or Coach Ayres or, whoever, they're going to teach me and I'm going to gain velocity. It's like, not until you get in the weight room, it's, and so when they, like you say, that maturation process, they come in their freshman year and some of them haven't hit puberty yet, and so that jump they make, and the strength they get. And, and if you're instilling that mindset in them at a young age, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy cow, I am, like you said, I am a dude, and you can't beat them down off that, and that's the, sometimes as coaches we do that we get after a kid or whatever. You got to know that too and play that kind of fine line game too. Who is this? Can I get after this kid or not get after this kid? Because if you want him to be a dude, then you better sometimes shut your mouth and let him be a dude. Because sometimes we get in the way of that.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about athletics and just development in itself, Coach. So much can change in a short window. And I think that we had kind of a dysfunction. There's coaches out there that get it, but I think there's a lack of communication between the parent and the child too, right? The parents want instant gratification. They're a freshman and this kid was hitting, when he was 12U, he was playing, all stars on Little League, and he was number one guy, and he's throwing mid 70s, and he should be the up next coming, number one guy at Kennewick High. But it's just he's got that development that time takes place, and you got to have some patience with that. And so I think, but when you've been there, you just look back and you think, wow, just look what happened within 6 months. You think about you coach through your summer, you finish at the end of July. You got August, September, October, November, December, January. So that's 6 months off. Coming back into the February, you're like, holy crap. What is up with this dude? I remember, he was subpar, upper 70s, but now he's coming in thumping mid 80s. It's a little drastic measure there. But you know what? My point is it's just that you see such a drastic change in development.
Yeah. And to that point, the hardest thing is you got to trust the process. And young kids have a tough time with that nowadays because of the way you said, that instant gratification. And there is a process. You talk about old school, new school stuff, and I know we're going to get into that. But freshmen didn't play back in the day. You see freshmen play now. You see freshmen verbally committing to Division I colleges. It's like what? And so some of these kids, it's like just trust the process. It's going to happen. Just let it happen. And even with their parents, it's hard because, like you said, it's like Johnny hit 37 home runs last summer as a 12-year-old, and or 2 summers ago, and he's coming into high school, and how come he's not hitting third? And he was always a shortstop. Why is he not the shortstop? It's trust the process, slow down, and pump the brakes a little bit. So it's a fine line there because you don't want to demoralize a kid either, but some kids are slower at developing than other kids. And you guys just got to trust the process. It's going to happen, but sometimes it's slower than other guys, and that's hard to deal with sometimes as a player and a parent.
Yeah, no, you kind of hinted at the old school, new school side of things, and we've talked a lot on this podcast just with differences of college and high school, of the information that's available to us because of streaming and cameras and stat systems and consistency on those ends. That we have information available to us to allow to inform decisions, right, on different metrics and things. But maybe talk about how the game has gone and how you've seen things change in your time, as a college player, a high school player, college player, a professional player, coming back to the high school ranked, where there's a lot more information out there to guys now, whether it's on social media or different areas of ways of doing things. So maybe how do you balance that with your guys, the information out there, the new models of ways of doing things with, maybe some of that classic grit, hard work, and sweat that you've already mentioned tonight already?
Yeah, it's the analytics. It's a kind of a tricky topic. But when you're talking old school, new school, I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle with it, because I love our kids to have that information. I think it's a great baseline stuff. When we're talking exit velocities and radar gun speeds and what you're getting and how fast you're running, all that stuff. And I think it's great for high school kids. It's a baseline. You're coming in, this is where you're at. And the next year, and they see those gains and so I think from that standpoint, I love it. But there's other sides that I like the hard work side. And I try to instill both of them. I'm kind of in the middle. I like some of the old school. I don't like some of the new school stuff. The kids, they turn a TV on and that's all they hear: launch angle, spin rate. Those are what they're hearing, and they want to know, what's my spin rate? What's my, where was my launch angle on that swing, coach? Is my, on that slider, did my spin rate, was it and it's just like, did you get the guy out?
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of old school there. Can you get guys out? Can you hit line drives? Are you that guy? And so I'm kind of halfway in between, because I like the stuff. I like that analytics stuff and all that, but at the same time, I want our kids to focus on the process. See those gains. So I like the analytics from a part where they've got a baseline or somewhere they can start, and then they can see their gains. And then when you get to the college level, then we can sit down with you and we got 4 guys coming in and we're heading. We can sit down, watch video. We can look at your launch angles. Maybe you're throwing. We can get spin rates. We can get all that stuff and really sit down with you and show you how we can make that better. But like you said, at 13 years old, their gains are going to come because of strength. You're not going to show a 13-year-old how to spin a slider better to get a better spin rate. You need to get stronger. That's how that's going to work. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I personally have always seen it as a informing decisions, informing the teaching, right? Like, we've always said line drive, and now we have launch angle, right? And if someone says it's between 14 and 20 degrees is the optimum place you want to be, okay, fine. If that connects with you, and it says it's 15 degrees or 16 degrees, and that matches what you want, is with a little bit more than head high line drive in the gap, then fine. That's what it does there. So yeah, I think it definitely informs decisions. It definitely provides feedback to guys, but there's a lot of teaching, there's a lot of information with it that goes into, them understanding what those things mean and what those numbers mean, um, and how it matches their game, right? And I think the college level, it's okay, things aren't working. Okay, let's look at numbers to find a different way of doing things to try to make yourself different than what you are. But at the high school level, like, we're just trying to find the best version of yourself right now, and that's going to work, and that's going to be plenty enough to be successful, because there's not as many guys that are as good as you at that varsity level. Now at the college level, everyone's the same, right? and
Mm-hmm.
and now we have to find different ways to do things in a specific way. But yeah, I definitely think guys can get locked up in those numbers as well, that we're chasing bat speed, that we're chasing exit velocity, we're chasing all those things, and we're forgetting just kind of the baseline grassroots way of getting things done. And it can really handcuff guys that are constantly looking at numbers rather than thinking about the swing they just took, and
Yeah.
oh shoot, it was only 95 miles an hour. Well, that's still a double. A double is a double. It doesn't matter if it's 120 or 95, right? So yeah, I think it's important. It's an important tool because it connects with them. But just like any tool, just like fun's a tool, just like competition with throwing, your players versus your players in the cages, like you talked about earlier. That's a tool. You don't do that every day, right? But that's one piece of the puzzle that you work on each day. So yeah, I think everything can exist together as a whole.
Yeah, coach. And I have the struggle with it just on what you said there, because if you're thinking about your launch angle and your barrel speed and all that, that's going through your brain when you're at the dish and the guy's throwing 92 at you with an 85-mile-an-hour slider. And I've got 7 different things I'm thinking about, my backside getting through good enough is, all these things going when I should only have one thought right now, but I've got 7 and I'm expected to hit this, 92-mile-an-hour, arm side run from a lefty and he's throwing me a slider next pitch at my front foot. It's like, oh my God, it's a lot of information for kids, I think, unless you can take that information and somehow store it and remove it when you go to the dish. And I think that would be hard for young high school kids to be able to do that.
For sure. Yeah, I think there's the training environment side and then there's the competition environment side, right? And I think both those places can exist together. But, when the lights come on, it's about getting the job done. It's the quality of bats, the stuff that you talk about, hitting the ball hard. Doesn't matter how you hit it hard. It's just finding a way to get the barrel to it in a consistent standpoint. So completely agree. Love that.
Well, Coach, as we kind of wrap up things here tonight, one other question I've got kind of want to bring up to you is the fact that every high school program we're dealing with those seniors that are moving in, and moving out. So we have our dudes on a yearly basis that, they got, their 12th grade and they're our top number 1, number 2 guys. And how do you guys deal with that at Kennewick? And we're kind of some of those secrets for those coaches out there. They're building their programs. Kennewick is really one of the top MCC schools, definitely, in the Tri-City area as well as in the state. You guys been to the state finals here the last few years and done extremely well. But how is it that you deal with that, and how you transition those juniors to those seniors and those sophomores to those juniors and those incoming freshmen and all that stuff coming through, and how does that vision preach to your staff and just throughout the whole program there at Kennewick High School?
Yeah. So, we practice, our JV varsity practice together, and twice a week our freshmen will come up and they practice with us. So, that gives us an opportunity to let our coaches, get with the JV kids, get with the freshman kids while they're out on the diamond. So they're hearing the same things, keeping the same intensity level of practice. So they're seeing that. And so it's just, it's, kind of that saying, the faces change, but the act stays the same type of thing, and they see it, because they're going to come up to practice twice a week, on our Monday, Thursday, when we're doing our PFBs and first and thirds, hitting on the field, those freshmen, they're there watching all that stuff, and they're involved in it, and they're seeing the intensity of it. They're working with our varsity coaches and our JV coaches, and and they're seeing how practices are done. They're seeing, and then they show up to the games. They watch how games are, what the kids are doing, the older kids are doing in the game. So it kind of just, the train keeps rolling. It's like, and if you said it, I would, if I gave anybody advice, I would just say, set standards, early, young kids, set standards, show them the way, because kids don't know. They don't know how you want things done. You got to show them how you want them done. And once they get it, it just starts, it balloons. That small snowball turns into the big one by the time they're seniors. They just keep rolling down the hill. It's like, and so they just roll next year and roll the next year, roll the next year. And it's kind of a neat deal. And they buy into that team concept, that we do this together. We do it, it's not just me, it's us, and we've had, I'm not going to lie, we've got a great coaching staff and we've had some good players. So I don't know that it's, I'd love to take all the credit, but we all know that as coaches, you got to have a good staff, and I have one, and you have to have good players, and I've had them, and that makes a huge difference. And a good, in high school, and I've got good families, good parents, and a supportive home life. My wife, she's there, and it takes all that, to build that you need to have all that in place. You can't have friction anywhere, and to be able to balance that, I think at a young age, you kind of build that environment and kind of roll with it. You're gonna have down years. I ain't gonna lie, we've had, you're gonna have down years where things ain't going the way you want them to go, and it's the game, but we just try to instill that.
That's good. That's good.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for taking an hour or so out of your night to come on and talk shop with us. I know it's holidays are over and it's finally time to start really revving this thing up for baseball season. So thank you for coming on with us tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate you all, and good luck with your seasons.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And I can't wait to see you in Ellensburg here in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be awesome. So, Jason, Kelly, and I'll be right back to wrap this thing up. Let's see. Pause. Well, we are here to wrap this thing up. And before we get into our little recap that we do of every episode, as we have been talking about, and if you follow our socials, our newest member of the Fungo Banter family, and it's going to be a pretty fun partnership. Max BP, who also owns Heavy Swing and Frost Gear, new sponsor advertising with the podcast, and a lot of fun because they actually were able to send us some free stuff. And stay tuned because we're going to give away some Frost Gear stuff here this week or next. But man, we got some stuff to try out. And Kelly, you've kicked off practice. You're going. You are full swing. Season's on its way. And talk about some of the things that your guys have liked so far.
Yeah, I think so far we spent most of the time with the some of the heavy swing bats with the handle loaded bat. Guys have really liked the feel of that. I think a bulk of the feedback there is just the feels of having to use the lower half, right? Use your legs, use your back hip load and those other types of things to lead your swing. Because if you try to go all from upper half, you find yourself failing really quick. And then just the weighted training bat as well. Guys have been able to use that, feel that out before getting in the cage to feel some weight and get in the cage and be able to take some swings. It's been nice for them to see that. I think it'll be a good on deck tool for us throughout the year. And as we get going and continue on, we have big plans for the Max BP machine and training some of the eye stuff for our guys, putting some parameters and some stuff in place for them to be able to track pitches, to be able to only swing at certain colors and types of balls, and being able to ramp that thing up to a super high velocity, and guys being able to try to track that real time out of the slot has been great. We've trialed it out a little bit, and now we're just going to hammer out our final plan for being able to put that in place and allow us to have an extra tool to train before the season.
Absolutely. Go check them out. Go to maxbp.com, and I believe it's PNW Banter, right, Jason?
I believe so. Yeah. I think
for
you're right,
10% off.
Yep.
Check our socials, and we'll have a link on there. You get 10% off of anything on all three websites. And if you spend over $499, you get a free gift of a $50 value or more. So go check it out. Pretty fired up. I'm excited to get our machine on our guys with proper WIAA guidelines before the season starts to get them hitting it in the gym. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, Jason, how about you kick off this wrap up with our guest tonight?
Yeah, guys, with Coach Ayres from Kennewick tonight, it was a good conversation. Talking about being aggressive. His you go to a game and everything he's preached about tonight it demonstrates on the field with his guys. And over the last 4 years, they've changed that program and taken Kennewick High School baseball to a whole nother level. He's got the right guys in there working alongside him. They all have that same vision. But everything they preach in the dugout is spoken out on the field. And you gotta I think sometimes as coaches you kind of just gotta let those freshmen just run. What I mean by that, it's just kind of like just kind of open range. Just let them be who they are. Kind of have that aggressiveness on the bases. Let them just kind of stretch them a little bit. See and what kind of individual they're going to become, giving them those opportunities. And so You know, I think, you know, as you do that, you start to see more of that athlete come out, and you know, it's really cool to see. You know, player development. It's happens in such a short window. You know, as we spoke tonight about, you know, in a 6 month window, you can see a player come from point A, you know, to point B. And it's just the greatest joys about being a coach, you know, and seeing development and seeing these guys expand and get to that next level. And hopefully, you know, coaches out there are prepping guys and getting them ready for that if they're, you know, got the athletic ability and the desire and the skill set to compete and play at that next level. But yeah, Coach Ayres is doing a great job, and it was a great great you know, conversation tonight. It's fun.
Absolutely. And I was kind of it's always been, you know, talking to the guys from the bigger schools because I've only ever coached, been at, you know, at high school, a smaller school, and how nice it would be to be able to have your freshmen and sophomores to be able to learn more and have less, I don't know if I want to say responsibility in a way, their first year, couple years of high school, to be able to develop and learn without having that varsity pressure on them, to where we are having guys having to come in right away and contribute if they're baseball guys, right? And it just goes to show how some of those programs that are consistently successful and win a lot, they develop those guys at a young age, and it can be as simple as having them tied to a hip of a senior throughout a whole practice, or maybe it's running bases and you're learning the game that way in a high tense situation where you're putting pressure on the varsity guys trying to get going, and you're learning the game as well. And it's something I've always been, I wish that you know, maybe we could have had the numbers for that. Maybe we'll someday still get that, but you know, just to build that program and to have it to where when those guys are juniors and seniors, things, they hit ground running, and they don't even really need, I mean, they need to be there, but they could almost run things themselves if they had to. So it's a lot of fun, and I look forward to meeting Coach in person here at the clinic here in Ellensburg.
Yeah, I really enjoyed you know, his talks and his thoughts on things, and definitely passionate about the game and passionate about the kids and wanting to have them play at a high level. Yeah, the aggressiveness stuff, I think we can all attest to that being a huge part to success at the college level and the high school level as well. So I think the earlier you can work on some of those skills, the better. But a great feel, a great balance of, you know, not putting his guys into boxes of having to do things certain ways or having to perform this way or that way. Being able to still have athletic players that make athletic movements, um, but also with an emphasis on certain things that allow you to win ball games. And I think that's kind of the take home thing within his talk here, is that, you know, the importance of quality at bats, the importance of limiting free bases on the offensive side, you know, generating base runners and limiting base runners. That's the name of the game. And you know, if you can, you know, emphasize that with your teams and what you do, you're going to win a lot of baseball games. And no matter what your talent level is, your talent pool is, if you can get guys to buy into using the best of their abilities to find ways to accomplish those tasks, you're going to be successful more often than not. So definitely there's a really good reason why those guys are successful with what they do. And really enjoyed hearing that stuff kind of come out of him tonight.
Absolutely. Well, another great episode, and thank you guys for being here, and to our loyal listeners, thank you guys for tuning in again for another episode. And if you wouldn't mind, go on the old iTunes, and even Spotify does it now, and please give us a nice little rating. 5 stars are much appreciated. And the more you guys can do that kind of stuff, the more it gets in front of other coaches and keep spreading the word. And like I said, thank you to, well, we've got Safeguard out of the Tri-Cities for some of the stuff we'll be giving away at this coaches clinic coming up in Ellensburg. Thank you to Devo Bats. Go check them out, devobats.com. Get your staff fungos ordered. Max BP, Frost Gear, Heavy Swing, and like I said just a little bit ago, PNW Banter for 10% off and get a free gift of purchases over $499, and that's good on all 3 websites. And I'm going to read you some stats. We got something big happening, and it's not just for Washington State coaches. It's for you guys in Oregon. It's for you guys in Idaho, Canada, whoever wants to come here. But it's not just because, but it's put on by the Washington State Coaches Association. And for more information, go to our our socials, the Pacific Northwest Fungo Banter. Check out on Twitter, Kevin Agnew, the Pullman High School head coach, Coach Kevin Agnew. And here's some stats he put out today about what's going to be presenting or who's going to be presenting at this clinic. And he's also pitching it, give your staff a Christmas present right away, right? Go to allstatebaseball.com and give your staff the gift of attending a baseball clinic with combined 2,980 plus career wins, 17 plus top 4 state finishes, 46 league titles, 57 state appearances, 8 state titles, and 5 Hall of Famers will be presenting at this clinic in Ellensburg. So go check us out. Please get signed up. Hotel rooms there's still some available, I believe, at the Red Lion Inn. And there's plenty of hotels up there fully booked all around for the Coaches Social. After, on Friday night, we'll be in the movie theater that's set up great for our discussions, panel discussions at Central Washington University. And it'll be in the rec center at the Student Union Rec Center. So we call it the CIRC for the alumni there that know that. And then on Saturday, we'll be in the field house at Nicholson Pavilion. And it's newly renovated. It's phenomenal. You're going to love it. It's a must-see. So get signed up, allstatebaseball.com, and there will be clock hours along the way. So, guys, without further ado, can't wait till next time. Getting so much closer to baseball season. Kelly, you're in baseball season, and hopefully you didn't freeze too much at practice tonight. We'll be right back next week with another great interview.